If you know me either in real life or on any social media platforms, you know I'm a big fan of Spider-Man. But how exactly did I end up this way? Well, to be honest, unlike most fans of the webhead, it didn't start with my childhood. Sure, I still liked Spider-Man as a kid, but I was more of a casual fan. It wasn't until 10th grade when I sat my tuckus down, opened Read Comics Online, it's okay because I'm slowly buying all the trades now, and started reading Ultimate Spider-Man. Now, I'm not even going to try to talk about how good USM is. It's one of the only comic runs where you can watch multiple videos on why it rocks, and by people who are way better at this YouTube thing than I am. But there is a part of Ultimate Spider-Man nobody really talks about, and there's a good reason for that isn't just, oh, it's bad. Ultimate Marvel Team-Up, written by Brian Michael Bendis, the same writer of USM, Ultimate Team-Up follows the early days of 1610's Peter Parker meeting and teaming up with characters from the Marvel Universe, in case you couldn't tell by the title. Having Bendis write this was honestly the best choice they could have made. I think one of the reasons people connect with Ultimate Pete so much is because unlike 616 Peter, he has a beginning, middle, and end, all under one writer, which makes him feel like a fleshed out person, and this book just adds on to that. I started reading this book earlier this year, and when I started it, it almost felt like reuniting with a friend you haven't seen in forever. Ever since the Ultimate Universe ended in 2015, we've gotten like little cameos here and there from 1610 Peter, but he's more or less gone. So reading something for the first time with him in it while he's in his A game was really nice. And it's not just Peter from the main USM run. Bendis doesn't forget about the others like MJ, Aunt May, Gwen, Kong, Liz, Flash, Jonah, and Ben Urich all appear in this, and it's just so cool to see them again. But this wouldn't be a team-up book without... Now, do you remember when I said there's a good reason why this book isn't really talked about? Well, this comic came out very early in the Ultimate Universe, and this book was kind of meant to be an opener to introduce old readers to new versions of these characters, and introduce new readers to idealized versions of these characters that aren't bogged down by years of continuity. While some Ultimate characters were set in stone for how they were going to be like personality and look-wise, like Wolverine, the X-Men, and Black Widow, others weren't set for how their Ultimate versions would be, like the Fantastic Four, Doctor Strange, and Iron Man. Because of this, and Bendis wanting to show new readers an idealized version of these characters, they're more or less their 616 counterparts with little to no differences. But when it was time for other writers to start their Ultimate books, they paid little to no attention to what Ultimate Team-Up did beforehand and just did their own thing. When we finally got an Ultimate Fantastic Four book, they were much younger and unexperienced compared to how they were in Team-Up. Iron Man didn't have weird green armor gloop like he did in the Ultimates, and this is the only time in the Ultimate Universe Hulk is green, and not talking about being horny. So while some of it is canon, like the Lizard/Man-Thing issue, which gets mentioned in USM, trying to put this in the Ultimate Universe doesn't really work. But to that I offer you this question. Who cares? The Ultimate Universe is gone, and let's not forget, most of the characters in that universe weren't the best. I think it's a little better that you can read this knowing this Doctor Strange isn't the same one who gets an incredibly gory death, this Daredevil isn't the same one that drowned off panel, and that this Hulk isn't the same cannibal monster that's the horniest there is. So even if you hate the Ultimate Universe for its depictions of characters, that shouldn't stop you from giving it a read. A lot of it does feel like if 1610 Peter somehow ended up in the main 616 continuity. Another thing I love about this comic is that with every story arc there's a new artist. And this book has one of the most creative teams of artists I've ever seen in a book. You want more traditional classic comic art style? We got you. Dark, grimy, messy art? There you go. Stylized, thick outline art reminiscent of most cartoons from the era this came out? Got that too, and it's awesome. Whatever the hell this is, sure. Each arc has such differing art, and while not all of it is for me, I think it's just cool to see something different from the usual comic art style we all expect. But like all good things, Ultimate Marvel Team-Up had to come to a close as Bendis was becoming a more prominent figure at Marvel and was getting involved in other mainstream media. But Bendis wasn't gonna say goodbye with a meager last issue. Ultimate Marvel Team-Up, 2, ended with an Ultimate Spider-Man Super Special, featuring an array of artists. both new and from previous team-up issues. This comic takes place around issue 14 of Ultimate Spider-Man, where in one of his classes they have a week to do a presentation as a superhero. This couldn't have come at a worse time for Peter, considering the fact that he's deciding whether or not he should even still be Spider-Man anymore. Must be that time of the month. We get to see Peter vent all his troubles to MJ, and this part is drawn by John Romita Sr., which is so insanely cool. Seeing the artist who drew pretty much all of 616 Spider-Man in his college era draw Ultimate Spider-Man just makes me happy. Peter tells MJ about some strange encounters involving vampires and a hot ninja assassin. Oh, he's just like me for real. And if he really is doing the right thing. MJ suggests that Pete should talk to someone who's more experienced in the superhero playing field. This leads to Pete swinging around Hell's Kitchen, where he confronts Daredevil to ask him for some advice. Dee Dee tells him more or less to fuck off, stop being Spider-Man, go back to his mommy, and then threatens to unmask him and hand him over to the police. With that boosted confidence, Peter swings off, and we see a scene from Ultimates issue 3 where Captain America, just unfrozen from the ice, is unveiled to the public, but through Peter's perspective. Without any words, we see Peter look up to the Ultimates, who are an organized, government-supported superhero team admired by the public, while he's still a controversial figure hated by most and wanted by the police. I love this little bit of visual storytelling and how it perfectly transitions to him going to the Baxter Plaza, where he asks to join the Fantastic Four, just like he did in the first ever issue of Amazing Spider-Man. Just like his 616 counterpart though, he's not able to join the Fantastic Four. But we do get a glimpse of what could be the spark of a friendship between Peter and Johnny Storm. Finally, the superhero project is due, and it's Peter's turn to present.
After the whole issue of meeting plenty of superheroes, cruel and kind, not to mention 16 other comics of teaming up with characters, who does Peter choose? Well, I think you should read the comic and find out for yourself. The rest of the comic is more or less a retrospective of what it means to be a superhero in the Marvel Universe. It's really good stuff and a poetic ending for a book all about Peter interacting with the outside Marvel Universe. There's a part where Peter talks about the hate mutants get, and I'm sorry, they chose the worst artist for this part, because just look at it.
But yeah, you know what? I've been praising this shit a little too much. Let's talk about the fact that there's a 3-part Punisher, Daredevil, Spider-Man arc, and I swear to God, the 3 of them interact for 2. Yes, 2 pages only. And it's 3 fucking comics! But yeah, besides that, Ultimate Team-Up and the USM Super Special are definitely worth a read. Fuck. But yeah, Ultimate Team-Up and the USM Super Special are definitely worth a read in my book, canon or not. They're fun comics, and reading them feels like watching a Saturday morning cartoon where you just get to see what Peter and his supporting cast are doing. Also, Peter says Transformers in an issue. If that's not enough to make you want to read it, I don't know what is. The parts in Team-Up where they give you the origin of the character that Spider-Man's about to team up with are kinda boring, but yeah, besides that, give it a read. Alright, now that I got this out of my system, I'll get to work on the video about the Revenge of the Fallen comic book tie-ins.
You know why I didn't like your message? Because it's too small! I don't care about it. It's nothing to me. It's a bacterium. I travel in worlds you can't even imagine. You can't conceive of what I'm capable of. I'm so far beyond you. I'm like a god in human clothing. Lightning bolts shoot from my fingertips!
Wait, don't go yet. I just remembered this. I was literally about to upload this video, but in the beginning of the Ultimate Spider-Man Super Special, when the teacher gives the superhero project, she's very much a white old lady. We can all agree on that, right? Well, by the end of the issue, it's a fucking different artist, Mark Bagley, and she's a fucking black lady. But how did that happen? Because Mark Bagley drew issue 14, which also has a superhero project thing, and he drew the old white lady. How did this happen?